Hello everyone, I'm Lauren from Microsoft. Today I'd like to teach you how to create a web page with SliceMaker product. This is a web page we want to create. This is the topmost section. This is the navigation section. This is the banner section. This place is used to place your social network information. This is the first main section. This is the second main section. And this is the footer section. With SliceMaker product, you can easily create this kind of web page, even if you are unfamiliar with programming. Let's start creating the web page now. Firstly, let's do the basic setup. Step 1. Import the design image into SliceMaker product. We will convert the imported design image to a web page. Step 2. In Tools, Options, Basic, click this button to select or create a file folder to save the web page we want to create. Remember that the file folder's name is example. Step 3. Let's add title, keywords, and description to the web page we want to create. Step 4. Name the web page and then select the language. Okay, we have completed the basic setup. Now let's create the web page. Firstly, let's create the topmost section. We can zoom out the design image for better design. Create number 1 slice to contain the whole topmost section. Select number 1 slice, and then add background repeat X attribute to it, and set it as 100% white. Now let's click the Generate button to see the result. As we can see, the background of the topmost section has been created. We can also click the Browse button to find the generated web page, and then use the web browser to preview it. Now let's continue creating the topmost section. We can zoom in the design image whenever we leave. Now create number 2 slice to center the contents within the topmost section. Create number 3 slice to contain the search input field. For the search input field, we can firstly create a background image for it. Select the search input field and then right-click your mouse to export the selected part as a background image. Open the exported background image with an image editing software to remove the text on it. And then we can add the edit background image for the search input field by clicking this mouse icon. Now let's click the Generate button to see the result. As we can see, the background image has been added. Now let's continue adding attributes to the search input field. Firstly, switch to the Control tab. Pick this option to add text box attribute to the search input field. Then add Control ID and name. Then set the font color for the text within the search input field. Optional, we can add some prompting text to the search input field. And last, set the padding attributes for the text within the search input field. Now let's click the Generate button to see the result. As we can see, the search input field has been created. Now let's create the search button. Create a slice to contain the search button. Select this slice and then add the image button attribute to it. Now let's click the Generate button to see the result. As we can see, the search button has been created. Okay, we have finished creating the topmost section. Now let's create the navigation section. Firstly, we can zoom out the design image for better view. Create a slice to contain the whole navigation section. Select this slice and then add background repeat X attribute to it, and set it as 100% width. Now let's click the Generate button to see the result. As we can see, the background of the navigation section has been created. Now let's create a new slice to center the contents within the navigation section. Then create a slice to contain the logo. Select this slice, add image attribute to it, and then add a link to it. Now let's click the Generate button to see the result. As we can see, the logo has been created. Now let's create the navigation bar. Create a slice to contain the navigation bar. Select this slice and then tick this box to add sliding door attribute to it. Set the leading width at 0 pixel, because there is no spacing distance between the leftmost border and the first navigation bar item. Now we can zoom in the design image for better design. Then let's add the navigation bar items. We should add 5 navigation bar items. Add links to the navigation bar items. Click the Save button and then close the dialog. After adding the navigation bar items, now we can see the styles for the added navigation bar items. Firstly, let's set the styles for the selected navigation bar items. Set the font color and size for the selected navigation bar items. Add background image or background color for the selected navigation bar items. Because there is a background image within the selected items, so we should add background image here. Then how to add the background image? Firstly, let's create a slice to contain one of the selected items. Secondly, select the slice and then right-click your mouse to export the slice as a background image. Thirdly, open the exported background image with an image editing software to remove the text on it. Note, please don't forget to delete this slice and then reselect this slice. That is set as sliding door effect. And last, click this mouse icon to add the edit background image. That's all. Now, let's set the styles for the unselected navigation bar items. Set the font color and size. Then set the background image or background color. Because there are no background images within the unselected items, so we can only add background color to the unselected items. Now, let's set the spacing style. Spacing style will define the spacing widths and styles between every two items. Here we can set the spacing width as 15 pixels. And then add a background color between every two items. Okay, now let's set the styles for the right side of the title bar. We just need to add a background color for the right side of the navigation bar. The last step, we should set the width, height, and padding top for every navigation bar items. The values of the width and height are the same as the values of the background image we've just exported. We can set the width as 50 pixels, height as 40 pixels. Padding top defines the spacing distance between the topmost border of the slice and the text within the slice. We can set it as 9 pixels. Okay, we have finished setting the navigation bar. Now let's click the Generate button to see the result. As we can see, the whole navigation section has been created. Now let's create the banner section. Firstly, we can zoom out the design image for convenient design. Create the slice to contain the whole banner section. Select this slice and then add background repeat X attribute to it, and set it as 100% width. Now let's click the Generate button to see the result. As we can see, the background of the banner section has been created. Create a new slide to center the contents within the banner section. We can divide the contents into two parts. The image switching part as the introduction part. For the image switching part, we can select it, and then tick the box to set it as image switching effect. Select an image switching mode. Tick this box to not display the title. Because there are several images that will be switching, so we should prepare several images and then save them to the file folder we created previously. Click the Add Image button to add the saved images. Add a link to them respectively. Now let's click the Generate button to see the result. As we can see, the image switching part has been created. Now let's create the introduction part. We can firstly divide this part into two parts, the above part and the below part. Secondly, we can divide the above parts into two parts, the image part and the text part. And the image attribute to the first part, and text to the second part. Now let's click the Generate button to see the result. As we can see, the above part has been created. Now we can use the same way to create the below part. As we can see, the below part has also been created. Okay, we have finished creating the banner section. Now let's create the Twitter section. Firstly, create a slice to contain the whole Twitter section. Select this slice and then add background repeat X attribute to it, and set it as 100% wide. Now let's click the Generate button to see the result. As we can see, the background of the Twitter section has been created. Create a new slice to center the contents within the Twitter section. Create this slice to contain the Twitter icon. And then create a slice to contain the texts. Add an image attribute to this slice, and text to this slice. Now let's click the Generate button to see the result. As we can see, the Twitter section has been created. Okay, let's create the first main section. Create the slides to contain the whole section. Select these slides and then add background repeat X attribute to it, and set it as 100% width. Now let's click the Generate button to see the result. As we can see, the background of the first main section has been created. Now let's add the contents for the first main section. Firstly, create a slide to center the contents within the first main section. Then we can divide the contents into two main parts, the left part and the right part. Now let's add contents to these two parts one by one. We can divide the left part into four parts. Firstly, create a slide to contain the title part. Select these slides and then add your title here. Set the font styles. Now let's click the Generate button to see the result. As we can see, the title has been added. Next, create a slide to contain the spacing line. Select it and then set it as background. Now let's click the Generate button to see the result. As we can see, the spacing line has been added. Now let's create a slide to contain this part. We can create two slices within this part to contain the image and text respectively. Create the first slice and then add the image attribute to the first slice. Create the second slice and then add text to it. Set the font styles for the ended text. Now let's click the Generate button to see the result. As we can see, this part has been added. Next, let's add the Learn More button. Create the slides to contain the button. Add an image attribute to it, and then add a link to it. Now let's click the Generate button to see the result. As we can see, this button has been added. Now let's create the right main part. Create a slide to contain the title part. Select these slides and then add the title here. Now let's click the Generate button to see the result. As we can see, the title has been added. However, we forgot to make the title bold. Let's do that now. Okay, let's generate again. As we can see, the title is now bold. Create a new slide to contain the spacing line. And background attribute to spacing line. Now let's click the Generate button to see the result. As we can see, the spacing line has been added. Now let's create two slices to contain the two news. Select them and then add news text to them respectively. After adding the news text, now let's click the Generate button to see the result. As we can see, the loose contents have been added. Next, let's add the More Loose button. Create a slide to contain the button. Add an image attribute to it, and then add a link to it. Now let's click the Generate button to see the result. As we can see, this button has been added. Okay, we have now finished creating the first main section. Now let's create the second main section. Firstly, let's create a slide to contain the whole section. Select this slide and then add background repeat X attribute to it, and set it as 100% white. Now let's click the Generate button to see the results. As we can see, the background of the second main section has been created. Now let's add the contents for the second main section. Firstly, create a slide to center the contents within the second main section. Now we can add contents to the second main section one by one. Firstly, let's create this contents part by creating a slide to contain this part. We can add contents within this part one by one. Firstly, create a slide to contain the title. Select it and then add title here. Set the font styles for the title. Now let's click the Generate button to see the result. As we can see, the title has been added. Create these slides to contain the spacing line. Select it and then set it as background. Now let's click the Generate button to see the results. As we can see, the spacing line has been added. Now let's create a slide to contain this part. Create two slices with the big size to contain the image and text respectively. Add image attribute to the first slice. Add text to the second slice. Now let's click the Generate button to see the results. As we can see, these contents have been added. Now we can use the same way to add the below contents. Now let's click the Generate button to see the results. As we can see, these contents have been added. Now let's create the middle part. Create a slice to contain the whole middle part. Create this slice to contain the title. Select this slice and then add title here. Now let's click the Generate button to see the result. As we can see, the title has been added. Create a new slice to contain the spacing line. Select this slice, and then set it as background. Now let's click the Generate button to see the result. As we can see, the space 9 has been created. Now let's add the user's comments. Here we can zoom in the design image for better design. Now create a slice to contain the first user review. Because the first user review has a background image, so we need to create background image for the first review by selecting this slice and then right-click your mouse to export the slice as a background image. Use the same way to create background image for the second user review. Open the exported background images with an image editing software to remove the text on them. Okay, now let's add the edit background image for the two user reviews, respectively. Now let's click the Generate button to see the result. As we can see, the background images has been added properly. Next, let's add the review contents. Create this slice to place the review contents. And then add the review contents to this slice. Now let's click the Generate button to see the results. As we can see, the review contents have been added properly. We can use the same way to add the second review contents. Now let's click the Generate button to see the result. As we can see, the second review contents have been added properly. Now let's create the contact part. Firstly, create a slice to contain the title. Select the slice and then add your title here. Create this slice to contain the spacing line, and then set it as background. Create this slice to contain the contact contents, and then add the related text to it. Now let's click the Generate button to see the result. As we can see, the contact part has been added properly. Okay, by now we have finished creating the second main section. Now let's create the last section, the footer section. We can zoom out the design image for better design. Firstly, create a slice to contain the whole footer section. Select this slice and then add background repeat X attribute to it, and set it as 100% width. Now let's click the Generate button to see the result. As we can see, the background of the footer section has been created. Next, let's create a slice to center the contents within the footer section. Create this slice to contain the footer logo. Add image attribute to this slice and then add a link to it. Select this slice and then add the related text to it. Okay, let's click the Generate button to see the results. As we can see, the footer section has been created. By now, we have finished creating the web page. It is not difficult, right? And last, thanks very much for watching this video tutorial.